really my question for McDavid is like, do you already know? If you have questions about what are these guys going to be in the future, then you're probably already out the door. Let's talk McDavid for a second. Still not signed, obviously. Chris Johnston in The Athletic on Tuesday wrote, quote, his biggest point of reticence per league sources remains an aging roster, which he believes can contend in 25-26, but which doesn't look to be constructed to sustain a championship level over the long term. And he more or less said as much publicly in June, telling reporters, quote, if I feel there's a good window to win here over and over again, then signing is no problem. McDavid had an interview with Elliot and Kyle that aired on 32 Thoughts on Wednesday, in which he said, quote, I have all the faith in the world in this 25-26 season. Beyond that still remains to be seen. Okay. If you're an Oilers fan, you should officially be worried about Connor McDavid and that he is going to just play this season out and then see what's what. My question to you, Pete, is what can happen between now and the beginning of the season that makes him change his mind or feel any better about that this team has a chance to be good for a long time? Like, does he need to see Matthew Savoy have the greatest practice he's ever seen in his life?
They gotta trade for Kirill Kaprizov.
I was reading Bag Milk's article on Oilers Nation. Savoy looked real good apparently in their rookie showcase thing with him and Mike Howard.
They have two. I'll say top forward prospects, meaning two forward prospects who are like top 50 prospects in the NHL.
Yeah,
and Matthew Savoy and Ike Howard. These aren't first overall picks coming in. They don't have great defense prospects. Their goaltending situation is what their goaltending situation is. But like, really, my question for McDavid is like, do you already know? If you have questions about what are these guys going to be in the future, then you're probably already out the door.
I wouldn't say you're probably already out the door, but like to your point, I don't know what you're going to see in the next few weeks. Like, I don't know what their sales pitch is going to do to change that outlook that you have.
Trade for Kirill Kaprizov.
That's what I just said. Yeah, I mean, beyond that, I don't really know how they're going to set things up beyond this season. And if he wants to play it out and play this season, and like maybe they win the Stanley Cup and he feels better about it, and then he sticks around, sure, but. Especially if he's thinking about a shorter term deal, which a lot of the chatter has been speculating that he might do 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Like, if you're not going max term, what prevents him from just playing out the season, taking it to the open market, allowing the Oilers to be competitive in this pitch, but open it up because he's not going to get that extra year anyway, or he doesn't want that extra year anyway.
What does he have to gain by signing right now?
Just avoiding the questions, avoiding the year, season long.
I guess
that's a cloud hanging over.
Like, tangibly, what does he have to gain?
Oh no, like financially, as Pete said, he's not going 8 years anyway. So there's nothing that the Oilers can offer him right now that other teams can't, other than Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard.
But they'll have those to offer him next summer. Right. Is what I'm saying. Like,
yes,
there's no reason for him not to just wait.
I've always said, like, if he goes into this season without a new contract, be worried. And it's to your point, like, it sounds like he's going to be starting this season without a new contract. At this point, I will be surprised if he signs in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, my behind the scenes murmur, whatever you want to say it, suggested it's going to be done before the beginning of the regular season. So stress if you want to stress, but it's going to be done before the beginning of the regular season.
Do you believe that?
I don't trust like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I mean, day by day, that seems like more and more of a stretch.
And he keeps giving quotes that suggest
that he's not going to. Yeah.
I mean, like, what is he? Just annoying? Like, I mean, he's giving these for no reason?
He seems like very intentional, not to the degree of like a Taylor Swift where he's throwing out Easter eggs. But I think that
I've got time on my hands.
Pretty close.
No. I mean that's like Delulu brain.
Well, yeah, I know. All I'm saying is that he obviously can't come out and say, I mean, if we are good this year, then I'll stay. He's saying as close to that as I think he can.
Correct. I think the languaging very much points towards.
Like, it seems very explicit that he's like, we'll see Like if we don't win it, to me, it's if they don't win the Stanley Cup or get screwed over to the point where they have a reasonable belief that they would have won the Stanley Cup if not for whatever happened, I think he's gone.
Okay,
if there's regression, I would be horrified as an Edmonton fan.
I asked earlier, what can he see? Another way of asking it is, what can the Oilers do right now? I mean, I don't think big trades are going to happen because it's still part of this offseason. And the offseason, we know big trades don't happen. Everyone fucking lied to us. But they could, if they wanted to, they could extend their window and it would worsen their window for this year. They could have, if they wanted to, say, we're not going to sign Evan Bouchard. We're going to trade his rights and we're going to get like 2 young guys and just kind of take our chances with that. Do you want to do that if you're trying to win the Stanley Cup and you only have Connor McDavid as of now for 1 more year? Of course you don't do that. So like, what can they do?
And I would argue that would make it less appealing to Connor McDavid.
Let me ask this.
Then there's less certainty about what
I don't think he has much interest in a window. Like if you're Connor McDavid, I don't think you can operate with the assumption that you will ever be closer to winning a Stanley Cup than you have been the last 2 years. And so if they're doing anything to make that team worse in the immediate future, that is a massive risk that I would not take if I'm
just going to say, like, fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins, because I think that they've planted this idea in his head. He should be thinking, as long as a team has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, they are a Stanley Cup contender. But he's seen what the Penguins have done the last few years, and he's like, oh, damn, I don't want to be that.
I mean, I also think if you're Connor McDavid, you could think if we have Connor McDavid, we're a Stanley Cup contender, and that could be any team I go to.
To be fair to Connor McDavid, like he's been on those teams in Edmonton. Like younger, but like he's not been like league worst, but he's been on bad teams in Edmonton.
Yes, but not since he's been, I don't know, like 26, 27.
Yeah, I mean, how old is he now? He's 27 now.
27. I'll say like not for
God, that makes me so
the like
upset.
true prime years of his career, meaning like the last
28.
Yeah, so like not since, we'll say he's been 25, 26, 27. He's been on good teams that, yeah, the Oilers are Oilersy, but those teams without Connor McDavid, if they had, say, an average number 1 center along with Leon Draisaitl, like those are still good teams. They're obviously not what they are with Connor McDavid, but it's not like he's been just dragging this group of shit with him. He's had arguably the second best player in hockey with him. He's had
2, that's for sure.
Really good goal scorers, multiple with him. He's had like high-end defensemen. Not a perfect roster, but it's not like he's been dragging around what Sid's been dragging around.
No, and I don't think that, like, especially over the past 2 years, obviously with them making the Stanley Cup final, like he has not been playing on a team where they are wasting his prime years, which is what we said for so long about the Oilers, where they're like, God damn it, like put a real team around this guy and let him make a run at it. They have been doing that. So let me flip the question. Do you think that at this point, McDavid's kind of putting the Oilers in a unenviable position in terms of like what the outlook is? Because
yes.
Like to the conversation that you were kind of building, it's like, well, what is our goal here? Are we pushing everything in to win this year in order to convince you to stay? Or are we restructuring what our window is or what our team is contending for the next 5 years?
Yeah, no, I would, if he wants them to take a step back, have a fallow year, load up, and he's signing for 8 years, I'm doing that. And they are this close. The Oilers are. The Oilers are this close. We don't know what Matthew Tkachuk's health situation is. It's not good right now. They're this close to winning the Stanley Cup. If they need to take a step back and merely be a playoff team who you never know, they got McDavid and Draisaitl, they can make a run this year, and that means that they look better in the long term. If that means McDavid's staying, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will sacrifice how close they are to win a Stanley Cup right now to know that I have Connor McDavid. And I'm not saying that, none of us are, about any other player in the world, and maybe even any other player in sports.
I don't know. That's a very interesting,
yeah.
like,
I'll do it
mental.
I'm at his
position to be
fucking
in.
mercy.
Also, the thing is like if there wasn't a contract situation going on, they would be they would be doing everything possible to win a Stanley Cup this year.
Yes.
And so like
I also think that there's probably zero appetite from Connor McDavid, regardless of anything, to take a step backwards, especially after losing 2 in a row. Everything that we hear is like this guy's just all he cares about is winning. All he wants to do is win, which is maybe part of the reason why he's not signing with Edmonton. I think that there's zero appetite for them to take a single step backward.
Okay. We didn't solve this problem. We never will. Only Connor McDavid can solve this problem, but
We all silly like the mayor.
is there at some point a conversation coming about the Panthers being too hurt, too out of gas, etc.? More in the forefront of our mind, and I brought this up before the show as a topic I wanted to do later, like maybe a week from now, maybe before the Stanley Cup final begins. And the more we talked about it, Pete, you were like, no, maybe we do talk about it now. And that is, when do we start asking Florida Panthers injury questions? And that is, are they the team? And this is inspired by a point that Frank Saravalli made, so I'm taking inspiration and or stealing. But do they have signs of the team, and it happens all the time, that by the time the Stanley Cup final rolls around, they're either out of gas or they're beat up? It sounds crazy to say when they're about to win a series in possibly 5 games, but Reinhart injured day-to-day, Mikkola injured day-to-day, AJ Greer out, but respectfully, AJ Greer doesn't make a big impact on my life.
Replacement level.
Matthew Tkachuk, though, is playing and is not totally 100% Matthew Tkachuk. And Matthew Tkachuk wasn't amazing in the final last year, but when Matthew Tkachuk was like really injured and ineffective a couple of years ago, we saw what happened to the Panthers, which was they went absolutely poof.
Mm-hmm.
So this has not mattered largely because players like Brad Marchand have been amazing and the Panthers are so deep. But is there at some point a conversation coming about the Panthers being too hurt, too out of gas, etc.?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we saw it, like you said, a couple of years ago against Vegas, and it made a big difference. And obviously, when you got some big names there, like Reinhart and Tkachuk are the obvious ones, but like Nico Mikkola has been awesome for Florida in this series. And so, like, that's a big loss as well. And you're talking about perhaps like whoever they go up against is probably in a better position, whether it's Edmonton or Dallas. Like, Edmonton is going to get Ekholm back at some point, might be on the fresher side, even if he's not 100%. They might have a fresh goalie, depending on whoever it is, because they've played less games than Bob. Like, I think it's a fair question to ask. I thought the more intriguing part of it was your like discussion about how you want the series to go, because you were saying it's potentially a good thing for Florida that their series could go longer in the Eastern Conference Final because it gives more time until the start of the Cup Final, and then you have a better chance of getting some of those guys back.
Yeah, it's a common. It's tough without knowing people's status, but they've got a combo going where they've got some guys who are playing and could use the rest.
Did I say Mikko Nikola? My bad.
And then
Mikko Mikkola. My bad.
real quick.
Yes.
Matthias Ekholm is confirmed out, and Calvin Pickard is back.
Okay.
Just
back.
Calvin Pickard is back.
Back on the ice.
On the ice, not in that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
But
he
backing
was
up.
practicing yesterday, and he was questionable for Game 4. So good for Edmonton.
And Arvidsson is in for Brown.
So there you go.
So yeah, no Ekholm for Arvidsson.
Free Jeff.
No, yeah, free Jeff. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Although I did tweet a couple days ago, getting ahead of myself. I was like, if there's a Florida Edmonton matchup, and you want some shit stirry type guys, the average person wouldn't know it, but Jeff Skinner is that. Anyway, the Panthers are in a situation where they've got some guys like Tkachuk who could probably use days off and rest. So great. As far back as you can push the start of the Cup final, amazing. But also, you've got guys who, in Reinhart, if they're really day to day, or it's more than that, like, do you need things to go a little longer? Whether it is you wrap it up, Western Conference takes forever, or just your series is extended, where there's more time for, even while your kind of banged up guys are playing, there's more time for the Mikolas or the Reinhardts of the world to get healthy. It's a tough little line there straddling.
Definitely, especially when you consider like the longer your series goes, you could have more guys added to that list over time as well. So like obviously the most ideal scenario is Florida wraps this up and Dallas, Edmonton goes longer to not only extend the window in which you are recuperating and maybe the Stanley Cup is starting a little bit later, but like those guys are getting perhaps more banged up to even the playing field. So I don't know, like it's you would. I was of the thought that like, hey, the sooner they wrap this up, the better, because you get rest and you get guys, healthy. But like, if both series wrap up and you have to start the Cup final earlier, not necessarily the best possible outcome.
Yeah, if you are waiting for some of those guys to come back, and there's speculation that the Cup final would start, let's say mid to late first week of June, so like the 4th. Or the 7th, somewhere in that range, depending on when the conference finals are done. So I don't know. I'm at least, and it all goes to part of like, we've had there's been some black and white thinking in this postseason where, okay, clearly, like Dallas is dead now. I don't think Dallas is dead. No. Or like clearly the Panthers are gonna win the Cup. I don't think the Panthers are clearly going to win the Cup. I think that there's some things like the Panthers injury conversation, like the guys who aren't going for Dallas right now, that allow for more conversation.
With the injury conversation, are you willing to say or guarantee that the Panthers are going to win this series still?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
I
so too.
will guarantee it.
And if any Carolina Hurricanes fans are feeling disrespected after you won one game in this conference final, I would like to point out you still scored 2 5-on-5 goals in this series through 4 games. Well, you're being outscored 12-2 at 5-on-5.
And I think the confidence that Florida is going to win the series is part of it too, because like you heard from Ekholm this morning, being like, if the series, if like the playoffs look different, it probably looks different for me. Like if they needed me, it's a different conversation. How day to day are these guys, considering the fact that Florida's pretty obviously going to win this series? Right. Like, would they be back right now if it was 2-2? Or would they be back in game 5 if it were 2-2 type of thing?
And if they need to, like, if Florida felt they had to rush, say, Reinhart back into the lineup, and you see what happened to Ekholm in the regular season, which was like, let's get him back quick, let's get him ready for the playoffs, and plays for like 2 seconds and then is out for a month. There's not a month left in the playoffs. So Panthers got to be careful.
While we're doing injury talk stuff, one thing that we like haven't mentioned in terms of Carolina is kind of how quickly they fell apart when Jalen Chatfield got hurt.
I know.
It's like a guy that is, I don't want to say bottom of the roster, but he is sort of like bottom of the depth kind of pool. And that team kind of just fell apart when Jalen Chatfield exited the lineup. And Sean Walker's have been a big loss too. But those two things, that team has looked very different when those guys have been out of the lineup.
No disrespect to those guys, but how much of that do you think is the fact that they're being replaced by guys that have...
Like Scott Morrow's looked completely out of his depth for sure.
Especially on a team where it's so like system dependent.
But even like Dmitry Orlov, who is like an established defenseman, has looked shit.
Dmitry Orlov has had... he is the Wyatt Johnston of the Eastern Conference Final.
I mean, that game, what was it? Friday? Saturday? Would have been Friday, right? It just, it was like a -5, -4.
I think it was Saturday.
He did not even look like an NHL player in that game. It was crazy.
Quite bad.
Got to say, like, they should have been playing Nikishin this whole time.
Yes.
He looked good yesterday and has looked good for basically all the games that he's played.
We all silly like the mayor.
How big of a role would Zach Hyman have played? I would look at that loss being as big as the goaltending difference in this series.
All right, they call this next guest the James Lipton of hockey because while you may enjoy yourself some inside the actor's studio, there's nothing like inside the coach's room. Let's bring on James Lipton. Hi, Petey.
Oh, wait, that's high praise, by the way. The James Lipton praise, obscure reference for the chaos,
Bonjour, James Lipton.
family, but I like it.
Following up an obscure reference with a massively more obscure reference is unbelievable.
What happens tonight, Petey?
I would be concerned if you're the Edmonton Oilers. I think this is going to be a good night for the Florida Panthers. Now there are caveats, and the biggest one you've already mentioned in the show today is Connor McDavid, and he can do this by himself, and he might need to. And this team needs to be better than they were in Game 5. There were so many disappointing aspects to the Edmonton Oilers game in Game 5 at home, in what you might think is a must-win. But they can win this game. Skinner's going to have to be better. And McDavid's going to have to be the best player on the ice.
How do the Oilers get to the front of the net? Because they did not get to the front of the net against Florida in Game 5.
One of the ways, and the best way for Edmonton, and this has been throughout this entire playoffs, their ability to generate offenses through their movement. And unfortunately, they're only getting that act. We call it being active. You think of McDavid along the wall, and it goes towards the blue line. And then the defenseman that was at the blue line either walks the line or goes through the middle. That's being active, where everybody's moving around. That's the way you generate space against a team that defends man on man, like the Florida Panthers, because they're going to climb all the way to the defense, or excuse me, the defense will climb all the way to the blue line with Connor McDavid, and you end up with a forward in front of the net. And that's the best way to start generating some open space in behind in that slot area. The problem for the Edmonton Oilers in Game 5 is they didn't get offensive zone time and offensive zone puck possession. So until you get possession, you can't be active and create that movement. Their biggest problem is they didn't get the puck, and they couldn't get the puck in the offensive zone. That's first. They've got to get the puck first before they can try to get to the front of the net.
You talked about Skinner being better, and I thought that Jeff Skinner was really good in Game 4 personally, and just no one was really going in Game.
Jeff Skinner was great. Stu Skinner, thanks.
Yeah, Jeff Skinner, no problem. But I'm going to change the subject to Stu Skinner, if that's all right with you. Am I being a hater when I said what I said earlier, which was rewatch some of those goals, and if everything plays out, that's a different game in Game 5 if Stu's in net. Pickard did not have a good game.
The reality is you're right. And here's what I've said about Pickard all along. And I said when he first went into the first series against LA, Pickard is a backup goalie in the National Hockey League. He has been his entire career. That's what he is. And eventually he's going to come back down to earth and be who Pickard is. And it just, unfortunately for the Oilers, he couldn't make that last for 2 or 3 more games. That was not a great performance. I thought his feet were moving. I thought he was sliding out of the crease. I think he was out too far on the Bennett goal off the rebound off of Tkachuk. He wasn't sharp. I think the Marchand goal, the first one flips over his shoulder and he's still moving out of the crease. The third one on the Marchand goal, with Perry, there's nowhere to go for Marchand. Just cover the bottom third of the net, get your stick down tight, get your pads down tight, and that one doesn't go in. I don't think Pickard was sharp. But having said that, that's who Pickard is. And we said if the Edmonton Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup, it's going to be with Stu Skinner. It is. And unfortunately, and I know you're really not going to like this, DJ, I don't love Stu Skinner. I like him. And I think when he's good, he's good. But when he's bad, he's bad. He's not consistent enough to be a guy that I go, oh, gosh, I'm going to take to the promised land with Stu Skinner. Because if you switch these goalies right now, if you have the opportunity as an Edmonton Oilers fan saying, we get Bobrovsky in Game 1 and we get him for the series, this series might be over. And that's how important the goaltender is. And I still get frustrated when the Edmonton Oilers don't go out and go, we've got McDavid, we've got Draisaitl, we've got depth, we can defend. God, we need a 1A that can be a monster. I don't revisionist history. I'd have to go back and see who that was. That disappoints me. We knew it. We said it on this show. I think now you're going, gosh, if we had just a little bit better goaltending, man, we might be up 3-2, or this might be over. The window's so short. You got to make those decisions, and I know they're hard. I think I would be disappointed as an Oilers fan right now.
It's interesting you say that because like I was thinking if the Oilers lose this series, everybody is going to go back to the goaltending thing and say that the reason that they didn't win over the last 2 years is because they didn't have as good a goaltending as the other side, and like to a certain extent, I think that's true. But like when DJ's talking
This
about
year. Not last year, but go on.
Yeah, no, like I don't even know. I guess I don't subscribe to it being a massive story in this Cup final. I think it's more the instability factor than the goaltending itself Like when you talk about the Pickard performance and like it would have looked different if Stuart Skinner was in the net, like I don't know if I believe that just based off of how drastically
They don't win
Edmonton
that
was
game.
outplayed.
They don't win that game.
Period, across the board. So
No
like
shame.
I feel like goaltending has been less of a story in this series than I expected it to be in terms of like the actual play being lopsided between the goaltenders. Do you think it's fair that after if the Oilers lose here, people are going to look back and say, well, the reason they didn't win the Stanley Cup is because they didn't have better goaltending? Do you think that's fair?
I don't think it's fair. Having said that, you're right. If Skinner plays in that game, they're still losing. Like they had 3 shots in the first period at home in a must-win game. That's not good enough. They couldn't get a stop on a forecheck for the entire game. They couldn't get through the neutral zone unless it was off a defensive zone turnover off the blue line. They didn't generate. They weren't good enough offensively. They weren't going to win. So goaltending doesn't make a difference there. The problem with their goaltending, it's always that one goal or 2 goals per game. It's 3 or more in 5 straight for Skinner. It's not good enough. And again, I go back to, hey, Bobrovsky, the first 5 minutes of game 5, first 5 minutes of that game, the Oilers had the 3 best chances. Brown had 2 and McDavid has 1 that Ekblad blocks. Edmonton easily with the 2 Brown chances, the one off the rush and the one coming out of the corner on McDavid's forecheck. They could be up 1-0, but they're not. Because Bobrovsky makes the big save at the right time, and no one even really goes back and goes, oh, yeah, Bob was Bob. But then goes the other end and Pickard gets up a weak one and it's over. So goaltending is incredibly important. You can still win with a good goaltender. We've talked about that. I think Darcy Kemper was a good goaltender. Antoniemi was a good goaltender. I think there were good goaltenders that have won cups. And I thought Edmonton could win it with good goaltending because they were defending so well and they were scoring. The difference is the scoring has dried up. I think they're still defending relatively good. I think they're taking the middle of the ice, and I think they're stopping them off the rush. The problem is there's no offense. And now that could break through tonight. They could have an 8-1 game tonight. They could. But the difference that even Mike Ryan said before this was Hyman. How big of a role would Zach Hyman have played? I would look at that loss being as big as the goaltending difference in this series. What would have Zach Hyman provided along the walls, in front of the net, on the power play? All of the areas that would help, not just defensively, but in the offensive side of the puck.
Yeah, I mean, the Marchand addition has been obviously massive from last year to this year, but it really is the double whammy of they have Marchand and you don't have Zach Hyman. And look, like if the Panthers win this series, that's an if. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but like I'm not going to. My feelings are going to be hurt, and I'm going to be sad, but I'm not going to be offended that the Florida Panthers in this roster won another Stanley Cup. Even if the Oilers weren't in it, like when they get Seth Jones, you're like, damn. Well, they're primed for a run here. So I agree that it's going to feel annoying when this gets reduced to goaltending, no matter how it ends, because I think that both of these teams are awesome, and whichever one wins, you're going to be like, that was a fucking Stanley Cup champion. And if it happens to be the one that doesn't have John Klingberg and Troy Stetcher going in and out of the lineup, can you really be like, wow, how did that, like, how did the Panthers win? Like, no, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, and like I've talked about stability so much this week, but like, how often do we monitor the lines for the Edmonton Oilers? Because the lines change every goddamn game. They really do. And to me, like, nobody gives a shit about the Florida Panthers lines because you know what you're going to get. You know what they're going to roll out. You know what their team is going to be on any given night. The Oilers don't have that. And yeah, they've had these runs where they've been so dominant with even with these different kinds of lines. But it's the instability factor that to me is going to linger if Edmonton loses this series, where it's just they didn't have the same sort of business as usual heading to the rink, knowing what they're going to be, knowing what it's going to look like, knowing who's going to be in net. Do you agree with that?
100%. And it's one of the things that makes them who they are. And I think they flipped a switch when the playoffs started. I honestly don't think they were very good the last 20 games of the regular season. I think they were injured. I think they didn't get a chance to play together. There was no chemistry. They weren't good. And then the playoffs start and they just go, okay, we got this. We know how to play. We're just going to play the exact same way every night. You guys figure it out. We're not changing. This is how we're going to play. If you think you can beat us, good luck. And I think for the Edmonton Oilers, it's, hey, we got to keep juggling lines. We got to keep mixing up our systems. Tonight we're going to try entries. Tomorrow we're going to dump the puck in. Like, I do think it forces your opponent to try different things to try to beat the Florida Panthers. And DJ said something interesting in the last interview. He said, do you think they feel like they have to win this game because they don't want to go back to Edmonton? I don't think that matters. I don't think if they lose tonight 6-1, I really don't think Paul Maurice is going to go in there with hair on fire going, oh, we're in trouble. It's okay. We got this. Well, we got it in game 7. And I believe that the room believes that. I mean, clearly they don't want to make the trip back. You guys have made that trip from Florida to Edmonton. It stinks. You don't want to do it. So I think there's an added benefit to not making that trip. But I don't think it scares them. I don't think there's that pressure. And they've won the cup. So I agree when you said the cup's in the building and that changes things. I do believe that. And we saw it with we've seen it with Colorado Avalanche, and you see that. But I don't think you see it with Florida. Edmonton's going to have to be special. Edmonton evolved this entire playoffs from LA all the way through to Dallas. They became a better team. I don't think they were great against LA. I don't think they defended very well. I don't think they defended the rush well. But as the playoffs went on, you go, gosh, this team is good. And they can defend. And they became this in the mythos of, hey, we're a really good hockey team here. They grew into that over time. Florida had that from day one. So when you look back now, we've played 5 games, 3 in overtime. This has been a great Stanley Cup final. Don't kid yourself. This has been fantastic hockey and absolutely can go either way tonight. I would not surprise me for 1 second if Edmonton comes out of there with a 2-goal win on an empty netter. Wouldn't surprise me. I think if they're going to do that, it's going to be a low scoring game. I don't think it's 6-3, but we'll have to see what happens tonight.
The thing on they're not concerned if they have to go back there, I completely agree, and I know that everyone here does just because they've been that good of a road team, but I'm going to always go back to that clip in the Amazon docuseries that is now in a commercial where Paul Maurice is yelling like, so in game 7, they've got nothing left. The full clip of that is he says to his bench, and I'm only lightly paraphrasing, but he's like, you fucking guys, you take a 3-1 lead and you take a 3-1 series lead and now you're trying to make plays. Fuck the plays, pound their D, so when we get to game 7, they've got nothing left. This guy is up 3-1 in a series, playing game 5 at home with the opportunity to close out the series, and he is yelling to his team about being ill-prepared for game 7. So, like, ask that guy how concerned he is about having to play in a game 7. He's yelling at his team that they're not preparing for a game 7 with a 3-1 lead well enough. Like that. Do you think other coaches would have that mindset? Because it blows my mind.
I don't know. He's an exceptional person and an exceptional coach. I mean, you look at his top 5 in total wins and games coached behind the bench. And I'm sure he's evolved. And one of the advantages he has over Knoblauch is his experience and his ability to be in situations that Chris Knoblauch hasn't been in yet. He's still too new. And I think that does give the check mark to Maurice, but he's evolved. Coaches can't be just one way anymore in the National Hockey League. And I think he's become more of a player's coach. And when you become more of a player's coach, they want to play for you. And I don't think he has been that throughout his career. I want to play for Paul Maurice. I do. Like, I'm ready. Let's go run through a wall. And you see it in their players. We just play this way. We trust our coach. We trust our system. Just get on our engine, get on the tracks, and just go play. And just play our way. If we do our play consistently over 60 minutes, we're going to win most games. And that is so hard for an opponent to go, I look over my shoulder, I know there's going to be a Panther there. I know there's going to be a Panther there. No matter how I play, if we chip it, if we dump it, if we hard rim it, if we carry it, there's going to be a Panther there. And I do think it's psychological over that 5, 6, 7 game series. I think the Oilers find themselves in a really tough spot going into Florida. If they are to win, the only way they do it is Connor McDavid, because he is that good. And I think he can single-handedly turn the tide of this game. That doesn't mean he gets 3 goals. It could be 4 assists, but he single-handedly has to be the guy. You're going to see him playing nearly 30 minutes tonight, because if they get behind, you're going to see he's going to be every other shift for the remainder of the game, because there is nothing left. And he will play until he cannot play anymore. This is going to be a fantastic game. I can't wait to see the way Game 6 unfolds.
Okay, I've got like an 18-parter. One, are you surprised, or would you play Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid together, or is that just a non-starter against a team this deep?
You don't do it to start. You're going to have to do it throughout the night. And I think your ability to sprinkle that in, and I don't think you wait till the third period. I think there are times in every period in this game where you put those two together. And I'm talking, you play your lines 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, McDavid Draisaitl, 1, 2, 3. And so you're playing your top 9 more, but then that last opportunity, you're seeing McDavid and Draisaitl getting an opportunity to play with that fourth line. I think they have to play together. And I think they have to play together once every 5 rotations. And I think you do that for the entirety of the game. Because things happen, special things happen when they're ice together. And you can trust them. They can play 22, 25, 27 minutes and still have the ability to get back and defend. I think you're going to see them together right away towards halfway through the first period. Don't be surprised you start seeing those two out there, at least 1 or 2 shifts per period. And the third, if they're down, they're out every third shift together the rest of the way.
Okay, how do they score on the power play? And I honestly want to make that more a Panthers question, because what are the Panthers doing? Why are they so unbelievable on the kill?
The one of the things the Panthers do, when you're killing a penalty, it's called one go, all go. And I think when Carolina is very aggressive, but you saw oftentimes one player would go, they'd make a pass, and then they back off. With the Florida Panthers, you have the puck, you make a pass, and they're jumping. You make another pass, they're jumping. Everybody is consistently moving, which doesn't give you time to set up. So for the Edmonton Oilers, the only way you can alleviate that pressure is you got to get the puck to where the players are not. And so that means you've got to get it to the weak side of the ice. So you've got to get the puck hard rim all the way around. The problem with that is you need to have the players on the other side of the ice ready, because they're drifting to the middle of the ice trying to make a play to the bumper or the inside. So if I'm the Edmonton Oilers right now, I'm thinking we get the puck in, and once we get the puck in, every time it goes back to the point, it's instead of on net, it's a hard rim all the way around the wall, and that weak side winger is going to be ready for it. And you do that 2 or 3 times in the same power play, you tire out penalty killers. That's hard. That is so hard to go side to side to side to side. And now you start to shrink that box. And when you shrink the box, now you can get shots. Now let's get the puck back to Bouchard at the top of the slot, and let's just let it go. And I think once you start doing that, now you're going to open up more space for Draisaitl and McDavid. So first of all, you got to get to the weak side. Second of all, you got to get shots on net. And that will start to shrink that box. And when you shrink the box, you're going to get more room for those other 2 guys.
You done with all your parts?
I mean, I do have more parts, but I would give you the opportunity if you have anything else.
No, I'll get to it after you're done, because I have a thought based off of something that came up earlier.
Okay, how likely is it that the Oilers actually will have a good start, and what goes into that?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question.
I have like a lot of fucking parts right now.
But don't you say that all the time, though?
IF, internal family system.
How many times, and you guys haven't seen this, but every coach's speech in every playoff game that I've ever been around, hasn't been all that many, because Arizona wasn't, we know what they were. But every coach always says, hey, let's start on time. Hey, let's start on time. Hey, let's start on time. You can't just say the words. You have to do the actions. And you know who was ready last game? It was Brad Marchand. And you look at the difference in his ability to jump off the faceoff, and people are, oh, he cheated. No, I didn't. He didn't cheat. And I went back, trust me, I went frame by frame to see if the puck hit the ice before he crossed the circle. Dude, well, they do a lot.
Dude, when the puck hit the when the puck hit the ice,
yes,
he was like
3 feet past. For sure.
You can let it happen once. You can't let it happen twice. They let it happen twice.
Right.
In that
game.
Yeah. And that's why, so the first one you go, oh my gosh, he got through quick. And Ekholm usually plays the left off the faceoff. He was on the right. So he's having a difficulty moving to the middle of the ice. He doesn't do it all the time, but he does some of the time. But on that second one, that's a D zone faceoff. Buddy, Edmonton's in the offensive zone. Like, come on. You just had it happen before. So those little details are the cues to people on the bench and in the stands to go, man, they're not ready. And this means playing the little details. The little details of this game are they make the difference. If you ice the puck, that faceoff now takes place in an area where you're not ready. And it's funny, that Marchand goal came off of a Florida Panther icing. That line wants to change. They want to get off the ice. And so for the Edmonton Oilers, we gotta get them. We gotta hem them into the offensive zone. We gotta pound them. We gotta win this faceoff. That's got to be your mindset. And they let them off the hook, not just for getting a change. They give up a goal. And off that opening faceoff, Edmonton's got to have a plan. They've got to do better at getting offensive zone time. So for me, the cue is going to be Edmonton wins the opening faceoff over the red line, and they pound it and they go get it. And they don't just retrieve the puck. They're physical. They're hard on the Florida Panthers defense, and they get a shot on goal. They don't need to score. That they would like to, but they don't need to. They need to, off the opening faceoff, get a successful forecheck to create a turnover and get a shot on net. And in that first 10 to 12 seconds, Florida's been on their heels for the only 12 seconds, and they go, okay, we're in a game. And I think Edmonton needs to say that. And I know it's only 12 seconds, and I know it's not that important in the whole scheme of the game, but that's how important that start is for Edmonton. They have to come away with the first 10 minutes even or better. They have to. If they find themselves down 10 minutes into this one, they're going to be in trouble trying to find their way back in.
Too much chasing. Part of the reason why I feel like Florida is such a good playoff team is part of the reason why I think this series is going to still go 7 games. And it's because I feel like the Panthers are so sadistic that winning in 7 on the road would feed them more than winning 6 at home. And I don't think that they're like consciously thinking this way, but I do think there's an element, and it goes back to the Paul Maurice thing about, beat them in 7 when you're in the middle of game 5. Like,
and you're playing the fucking Bruins, respectfully.
And how they play is like they derive so much fucking pleasure from being miserable to play against, whether it's physically, whether it's forcing you out of the dirty areas of the ice in front of the net, whether it's laying it on offensively. Any way that they can make you absolutely miserable, they get off from that. And a little extra gas for Edmonton, and then going home, having a game 7 on home ice, and Florida being such a good road team. I can't get that out of my mind. I just feel like the sadistic element of the Florida Panthers lends to winning in 7 here.
I agree, and it's funny you bring up those stats on the home games and road games. Florida's been bad. They're 2-3 in their last 5. Edmonton is 7-2 in their last road games. It's with Florida. Florida reminds me of those New England Patriot teams that you can be behind by 30 at the half, and we're the New England Patriots. We're going to win the game. Like, we know we're going to win because we're New England. Florida has that swagger. They have that confidence, and they have that belief in their room that it doesn't matter. We're Florida. And in hockey, you don't see that as often because of the parity in teams, ebbs and flows and the free agency and the cap and guys move around. So I don't think you get those. Those windows are very fleeting when you go, we are this team. We are this team. And the Florida Panthers are that team. And it's been a long time. I think like Tampa was a good team, but Tampa wasn't this. Tampa wasn't what these guys are. I think Colorado probably could have been that. They just were unfortunate in the timing of COVID and all of those things. But Florida is that. Everybody in that locker room believes when they hit the ice, we are the Florida Panthers and we are going to win. We're going to play this way. We're going to play that way for 60 minutes and we will beat you. And I don't know how you overcome that. That's hard to do. And even when they make mistakes, and they do, they're over aggressive on pucks through the neutral, and they give up chances off of the rush, and they sit in the penalty box at times because they're walking the fine line. They have Bobrovsky, and Bobrovsky might give up 3, but you'll win. He might give up 5 and you win 6-5. The difference with Bobrovsky, he makes those saves that he absolutely needs to make at the most critical times of the game. And again, I said it yesterday, the first 5 minutes of the game, Edmonton could have a 1-0 lead, but they don't. We have Bobrovsky holds onto the post physically, the ball cuts across, and you go, oh my, that was impressive. That's the difference. The swagger, the confidence, and a goalie that can win a game by himself. I think Florida wins the cup now. I had Edmonton early in this series. I don't know how Edmonton can beat that team twice.
All right, you heard it from Steve Peters. Oilers in 7, he says. You can check him out on Inside the Coach's Room YouTube. It's a growing YouTube page, and it's very, very good, my friend. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on, guys. Well, hopefully we see you before Game 7.
Yes, we will talk before Game 7, although PD seems to have his mind made up for Edmonton, but it's just one man's opinion. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
We all silly like the mayor.
Why everyone freaks out every single season about the Edmonton Oilers in November and October is just beyond me at this point. Like, we've lived this dream so many times, we should be able to move on.
We're going to talk to Liam Horrobin from Oilers Nation Every Day with Tyler and Liam in just a couple of minutes. We got to check in on the Oilers because last night they blew a multi-goal lead for the second straight game. They lost to the Stars in a shootout. They have lost 4 games this season that they have led by 2 goals, including their last 2 games against the Blues and the Stars. And every year, the Oilers start weird, and you wonder, what does this mean and everything? And I think we've all kind of gotten used to not caring that the Oilers are struggling. But still, it's weird when you do a daily hockey show to watch a Stanley Cup favorite just dick around the way they've been dicking around and be like, so we definitely don't care. We definitely don't think any of this is bad or worrisome.
There has to be a point where you care. By the way, it was Fraser Minton, not Morgan Geekie. Morgan Geekie demoted the third line to get the Bruins get going, and it worked. Fraser Minton also rocks. But yeah, at some point you do have to care about the Oilers sucking. It's now November. I think you can care.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that you have to, like, I don't think that you have to, I don't think that you have to, like, act like the world is falling apart. But at some point, you should care.
Do you think they're on asshole watch?
I think that question is more suited for you. You're in the Oilers experience, and I think that you've been pretty good about tracking whether or not the Oilers are a problem, whether things are a problem. And when we freak out, you say, no, it's fine. Not worried. Are they on asshole watch?
I think that they are on asshole watch, but they have like an honorary... They have like a cloak of invisibility. Shut up, my guy Harry Potter.
I was gonna say,
when it comes to asshole watch, they get to like.
This guy's been influenced.
They get to slink in and out of just like asshole world, where typically when you're on asshole watch, you're in quicksand. Things are getting worse, and you better find a way to figure it out. And the Oilers vacation in asshole watch land for a weekend. They'll do a long weekend in asshole watch land, and they'll dip back into 16-game win streak land.
Yeah.
And it's all fine. So they're just a very, as we all know, unique experience.
Yeah. When you talk about asshole watch and like giving away points, would you consider the Oilers to be more on asshole watch because they're giving away these points and losses, or the Canadians on asshole watch because they're winning a lot of these games, but they're giving points away to the rest of the Eastern Conference? And why I would like maybe lean the Habs is that I have less faith in the Canadians stretching the distance between the teams that they're giving points to over the course of the season versus the Oilers.
I came around on that with your explanation, so very good job, because when you first threw it out there, I was like, we all know that what the Canadians are doing is kind of a miracle in some way, and what the Oilers are doing is not devastating. But what the Canadians are doing is a miracle and fun. I'll tell you what, there's very little fun in what the Oilers are doing right now. Another weird part of it, though, their struggles, and I should note, by the way, that this year they're .533 points percentage with -2 goal differential. This time last year, .500, -10 goal differential. Lord knows what they were 2 years ago at this time, because they probably had like 1 point in the standings and they were firing Jay Woodcroft. But if you were look, I was talking to Sean before the show. If you're to watch some of their players play hockey, or you're just to look at stats, you'd be like, shit's amazing. Who leads the league in points?
Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid leads the league in points with 21. Who leads the league in goals?
Leon Draisaitl tied for the league.
Leon Draisaitl tied for the lead in goals. Did you see either of Leon Draisaitl's goals last night?
Saw the one below the goal line.
He scored a goal from below the goal line, and he did a Forsberg in the shootout.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But as Sean has kind of brought up, Leon's not doing those things and being like, yeah, I fucking did it.
No, that was me.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, he scored below the goal line, and the coolest part about it was that he did not give a shit.
So that's some of the good. Also good, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 16 points in 15 games. Jack Roslovic, who I think was like an absolute ghost when he first got to Edmonton, 5 points in the last 4 games. The bad, Trent Frederick has 1 point through 15 games. He started the season on a line with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
That is like impressive.
When DJ said that, I started saying like, color me shocked, as in, wow, who would have thought Trent Frederick wouldn't be that good? But also like,
no, like
impossible. It seems he spent like at least bare minimum a shift with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Having only 1 point is
37
insane.
minutes with Connor McDavid, 30 minutes with Leon Draisaitl.
You would think that like a puck would go off his shin and he'd get an assist.
I mean, fucking like I love Zach Hyman, but he walked backwards into 50 goals being on a line with those guys.
Do you know who assisted Trent Frederick's only point in goal of the season?
Vasily Podkolzin.
Very close.
I was going to say, it's a good guess.
Like as close as you could get, I would say.
Yeah.
Kasperi Kapanen.
Okay.
So at least he's not a plays 30 minutes with Connor McDavid Merchant.
Kapanen Merchant.
He's a Kapanen Merchant. God.
That is crazy. Yeah,
And no one roots for him more than me, but
So-
like he falls into the bad right now.
So like I've admittedly kind of I haven't like tuned out the Oilers. I've watched some of the Oilers, but
Wake me up
knowing that yeah, exactly, and it's not that important for me to tune into the Oilers in October. What has been the issue?
I mean, it's weird to say that like Leon could have like 50 more goals than he has so far. It's just like they're just mediocre and everything. The biggest issue is that they're blowing leads. But so I guess like not playing 60-minute games, but outside of those guys going off, they're very mid. They're middle of the pack in goals, 3.07 per game, which is exactly how many goals they've given up per game, which is 17th in the league. So they have their great players playing great, and then everybody else is mediocre. But let's ask Liam Horrobin, our dear friend from Oilers Nation every day, with Tyler and Liam. Liam, hi, buddy.
Hello. What's going on?
You heard the question that Pete just asked me. Why are the Oilers like this?
They're like this because they have no killer instinct right now. So they'll go up 2-0 in a game or 3-1 in a game or something like that. And then they just don't get that next goal. Like these past two games, they had Dallas exactly where they wanted them. That St. Louis game was crazy. Like, I don't know if the fans even wanted to be there. And then all of a sudden St. Louis wins the game 3-2. And I just think if they're able to just pile on one more goal, which I know should be able to get them over the top if they're up 2-0, but it's like then you just distract everyone from all the other mistakes you're making. Like maybe they're not pressing as hard, and maybe Evan Bouchard doesn't make a terrible mistake, or maybe you don't force your goalie into making so many high danger saves, and they would just relieve a lot more pressure if their offense would actually start working.
I mean, this might sound like a stupid question, but I don't think it is because it's the Oilers. Do you think they give a shit about these games?
I think. I mean, I
they
think
shouldn't care. Like you can understand why they wouldn't. is what I'll
Spiritual
say.
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they care, but I don't think the intensity is there. I think is a good way to put it. Like you watch him, like they just kind of lull through periods, and there's always that saying is like they never play 60 minutes, and it's like sometimes they don't even play 20 minutes in a period. Like it's just difficult for them to get up for these sometimes. But I think one thing that they've struggled with is they've just been on the road the entire season. Like even their one home game against Montreal was just slotted into an Eastern road trip right at the end of it. They come home for one game, then they go on the road to play Vancouver and Seattle back to back, and then they're at home for a couple of games and then back on the road again. Like it's interesting now because now they don't play until Saturday, and I think they have like 3 more games at home, 2 whatever it is, and then they just go on the Eastern road trip again. They have 9 road games still this month to go and play. So I think that's a layer of it that's probably been a bit difficult for them. Like, hey, we all get along with our coworkers, but sometimes you just want to go home and not talk to anybody. And I think that's what's happening with this team is like they're almost just around each other way too much to start the season, and it's starting to damage them a little bit in performances where everything just seems to be the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Well, famously, they were not around each other in the offseason at all. Do you think that Leon Draisaitl's honeymoon with his friends is to blame for the team being around each other too much and therefore losing?
Well, I just wonder if more friends should have been on the honeymoon. Like maybe you just can't be so connected to one player. Maybe you needed every player and a wife, girlfriend, fiance, whatever it may be on the trip. Like surely those two can afford a big enough lot. And I've heard, I don't know if you guys have heard, Darnell Nurse makes a lot of money apparently, and so does Evan Bouchard. So maybe they could have chipped in. Yeah, everyone chips in a little bit, get a bigger boat, go have a nice weekend away with all your friends on your honeymoon, which is a super normal thing to do.
I would, thanks, Pete, for the invite. I'd like to point everybody, when they're done watching this show, of course, to check out, there's a clip of our friend Shayna Goldman on the sheet with Merrick and Wyshynski, and she was asked how she feels about the Oilers so far, and she had a very, snarky sort of summary of what the Oilers' start is, and you won't believe it, and she says, like, the goaltending's mid, but oh wait, it's going to be really good at some point and they're going to outscore their problems. And they signed a bunch of new wingers. But what? The new wingers suck. This never, and like she just like goes down the list of all these things and then kind of said, used it all to make the point of like, no, I'm not freaking out about them, but I'm just kind of tired of the storyline. I'd like to hone in on that wingers part, though. Roslovic, Mangiapane, Savoy, Howard. What have you made of the new guys? Because initially, I was like, man, I think the people were right on not signing Jack Roslovic, and now he looks amazing. Mangiapane started great, and now he looks kind of not amazing.
I mean, from what I've seen, like the little of what I've seen, Mangiapane's looked really good.
I'm pro that sign. Shayna kind of slagged that signing in that clip. It's the only part of the clip I disagreed with. I think that Mangiapane overall, like, good signing. Definitely seems like he's going to have utility there.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that clip too, and I agreed with everything but the slander on Mangiapane. I think he's been fine. I think he does disappear in some games, but he's just not a liability. He just plays decently every single night. I think he's up to 4 goals so far this season. He did struggle quite significantly when he first got bumped up to McDavid's line. There was a stat, I think he had 2 goals on 2 shots, played 3 games with McDavid, didn't register a shot on goal. So it's like, okay, you were bumped up there to score goals, and now you're not shooting the puck. So he got taken off, scored a goal, and now he scored a goal with McDavid. So we're all good. Roslovic basically used his first 5-6 games as just preseason, but now he's maybe been their best forward outside of Draisaitl and McDavid. Like, the one thing I like about Roslovic is he doesn't force pucks to Leon Draisaitl. He's more than willing to actually go and try and score on his own. We've seen it a couple of times this season where he's willing to weave in and out of defensemen and try and get a clean shot himself. And even last night, that assist to Podkolzin, like, I can't remember the last time an Oilers forward did that outside of 97 and 29. Like, to wrestle off Thomas Harley like that with one hand and whip the puck across again with one hand. And Podkolzin's done really well too this season. He seems to be finding his game a little bit. Obviously, his preseason was disrupted by his family tragedy, but he seems to be coming along. He's carrying the puck a lot more. He's willing to, again, do stuff himself. And he basically plays hockey on a string, just north-south, which is fine. And he does a really good job of doing it. So, yeah, I didn't agree with that comment. The question in Edmonton is always about, like, how much do you play the youth? Like, we all saw it with Dylan Holloway, and now everyone just has the fear that every young player that's going to leave Edmonton is going to go on to score 60, 70 points in a season. But I think Savoy, like, what people are missing is, like, okay, he's not getting his offensive chances, but how many rookies in the league are playing on the penalty kill like he is? Like, he's become a reliable penalty killer. Ike Howard's been fine. He's not playing a lot, and people keep begging for him to go down, but okay, that means you have to play Curtis Lazar, David Tomasek every night instead. Like, those 7, 8, 9 minutes might still be valuable. And then when you get Hyman back and Kapanen, then send him down, sure. But I don't know. I don't think this forward group has been as bad as maybe some people are saying. But also, too, like, why everyone freaks out every single season about the Edmonton Oilers in November and October is just beyond me at this point. Like, we've lived this dream so many times, we should be able to move on.
Did either of you boys see the Roslovic assist last night? I know that you didn't, Pete, because I would have gotten a lot of texts from you and seen your tweets about Thomas Harley.
No.
It was like, as he said, you usually see Draisaitl doing it. It was like one-handed, push the guy to the outside, just like, stay away from me, you friggin' loser. And he was doing it to Thomas Harley.
Wow.
And made like a really nice one-handed pass. Embarrassing stuff for 55.
How thankful are you, like, dumb question again, how thankful are you that McDavid in the contract is out of the way? Because right now, with that on top of this start, I feel like would be a nightmare.
Honestly, I think about that a lot, and I couldn't be more grateful for what Connor McDavid has done for my life. Because every single day I hear how bad Bouchard is, how bad Skinner is, how bad Nurse is. If I had to put McDavid's contract on top of that, I don't know if I would be able to do the show every single day. It's just, it's so nice that he is locked up. I don't even care. He could have done it for till the end of next season, whatever. Like, as long as I just didn't have to hear about it. So, yeah, I think they'll be fine though. Like, whatever. It really, honestly, doesn't bother me at all how well or bad this team is doing.
And that feels like the number one reason is because you know that McDavid is not going anywhere, and you get to go to sleep at night just being like, it's October, it's November, nobody gives a shit.
I had a big rant on our post-game show the other day after the Oilers lost to Seattle, and some of the comments were being like, Ty Emberson's our best defenseman. Like, oh, you said they were going to be better this October. Like, how are they supposed to do all this stuff? It's like, come on. Like, the Nashville Predators and the Chicago Blackhawks were holding wild card spots at that time. I think Pittsburgh was first in the Metro or something stupid. Like, we all know this is not the way the season's going to go. We all know who the good teams are on one side and the good teams are on the other side. And like, everyone talks about the East, how it's 500. It's not because there's 16 good teams in the Eastern Conference. It's because they're all pretty mediocre and they battle their way through it every night. And you guys said the Montreal Canadiens just give points to everyone.
No, Pete could have used you yesterday. That was what we were arguing that. I was like, I think every team in the East is good. And Pete was like, you don't think the Leafs are good right now? And I was like, I don't think anyone is bad, but your point is well made. And now that it's 2 against 1, I guess I can see that. Guys are getting healthy, so trades are supposedly coming. You saw Alec Regula return to the lineup last night. It still blows my mind that he's a piece. Good for him. They must know something that I didn't know when he was in Boston and Chicago, but he came back last night. Janmark is close. Hyman will eventually be back, so trades are expected. And the most common names that have been thrown around have been your guy Janmark, have been Troy Stecher, and oddly, a name that you just said, Ty Emberson, which that blows my mind. Why would you trade a 25-year-old cost-controlled right defenseman? But who do you think gets moved out, and what do you think they should do?
Yeah, I don't really understand the Ty Emberson thing, too. Like, he's 24, 25, whatever he is. Like, I don't think he's anything special, but I know he's an NHL defenseman, and it was only last season he always had to play Josh Brown in a playoff game. So probably a good idea to keep as many defensemen around as possible. The Troy Stecher thing, again, why would anybody want Troy Stecher? And that's not to disrespect Troy Stecher, but
You
doesn't have
disrespected
yeah,
him.
no.
You said,
How could anybody take offense to that?
Why would anyone want that?
But who
fucking
doesn't
guy?
have a 7th, 8th defenseman that makes league minimum? Every
Joe
single
Davis
team in the NHL.
joining us now. Miguel Rojas, the biggest fucking loser on the planet, has done the unthinkable.
Just he's throwing out an "oh my god, no way" as he hits a home run to tie the World Series.
Did he say that?
He said "no way." I can't believe we never talked about that being the Cody Ceci of all people podcast.
Yeah.
Shouting "no way" when a guy hits a game-tying home run is so funny.
The other player I would
also
say he
shouted
should
no
go
way.
down is David Tomasek. Have you guys seen him play? He's pretty average, and he makes $1.2 million, and he's eligible to go through waivers. Like, I just don't understand the conversation of like, well, I would honestly trade Janmark too. I'm not sure what that guy does for $1.45 million besides not score goals with his stick all season. Like, you can pay guys for the playoffs, sure, but like, you also have to contribute throughout the 82 games as well. And I honestly just think they keep pushing their problems down the road with him until they can find a decent spot for him to go, because who wants that contract? And somehow he has like a no trade list, which also makes 0 sense. But yeah, I think they'll get rid of Tomasek and then maybe send down Ike Howard too.
Sam Bennett makes $8 million a year to only perform in the playoffs. Matthias Janmark makes $1.4 million to only perform in the playoffs. Call it girl math, podcast math, whatever you want. I'm seeing the Oilers saving at least $5 million there.
I have no comment on this Janmark situation.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe. It's the John Lennon quote where someone asked him if Ringo Starr was the best drummer in the world. And he said, I'm not sure he's the best drummer in the Beatles. That's what's going on with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is not necessarily the best player on the Devils, let alone the continent.
Speaking of good players, can we talk about Jack Hughes?
Oh, right. We have to do that. Yep. Give me do you have the tweet?
I believe Sean has the tweet. Sean, you want to throw up the tweet from our friend Adam Herman? I don't know why I called him a friend. I never really talked to him, I don't think. Assuming full health, I think Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon are the only NHL players I am 100% sure are better than Jack Hughes. And I don't think there's a reasonable argument for having him any lower than 5th. So that tweet picked up a little bit of traction yesterday. And it came on the heels of Jack Hughes' hat trick against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Great game from Jack Hughes.
Good player.
Great player. Really, really good player. To say that like there's no reasonable argument for him not being in the top 5 of NHL players is bonkers at this point in time.
Can I go a step further? I would say there is no reasonable argument for him being in the top 5. I don't think there's even close to a reasonable argument.
I
The
think
top
it's
five
way-
is so clear.
It's way easier to say that Jack Hughes is overrated, or you have a better case arguing that Jack Hughes is overrated than arguing that he's underrated. And this argument is saying, if you're not saying he's in the tippity top of the NHL, you're doing something wrong. And that's just crazy to me.
So, and here's my big problem with this tweet coming from Adam Herman, because like he said, this is not a new thing. I'm not overreacting to one game against the Leafs. I've had this take for 7 years. And
I missed that
on
part.
August 3rd, 2018, he tweeted, feeling pretty confident that by 2022, Jack Hughes will be the second best player in the NHL. So, like, that's essentially being like this. I need my take to be right.
Yeah,
I'm like pushing this narrative.
You're hoping that you called something and you got to say you call it. Here's a little trick. What's this gentleman's name?
Adam Herman.
Adam, love you. Here's what you do. You shoot. Take your shots. Nobody cares about any of our opinions and any of our predictions. And if they're eventually right, sure, we can hop in the old car, take a victory lap. And if they're not right, don't got to say anything about it because no one remembers. Nobody cares. So that's all you got to do. This is one in which you missed, but I'm not mad at you for it. I'm mad at you for then now trying to force it into here's how it's right. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Wubbs makes a good point. No other player has walked the Mucinex monster.
He did. I do think we have footage of that.
Absolutely walk the Mucinex monster. I said yesterday, I'm not 100% sure that he is the best player in his family, and I am not 100% sure that he is the best player on his team.
Sean, if you can post, where is it? Scroll up a little bit. If you could post Ambassador to Greece's comment. It's the John Lennon quote where someone asked him if Ringo Starr was the best drummer in the world. And he said, I'm not sure he's the best drummer in the Beatles. That's what's going on with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is not necessarily the best player on the Devils, let alone the continent.
That one I'm less sure about. Like, I'm pretty sure he is the best player on the Devils. But I'm not 100% sure because, like, I'm a huge Nico Hischier guy. I think that, like, he's a Barkov profiling player. And, like, the importance of a player like Nico Hischier cannot be understated to a team like the Devils. And, like, once you get to the playoffs, if the Devils make a deep playoff run, I feel like Nico Hischier is going to get his flowers. And people are going to be like, oh, this guy is so valuable to the Devils. And they're, like, the biggest reason why they're making a deep playoff run. And, like, for the Jack Hughes element, I still have questions, especially after Four Nation. He disappeared at Four Nations. Maybe he wasn't healthy. But I also think that's part of the conversation here, where it's like Jack Hughes can't stay healthy. And that has to be considered at some point in time. And I know that the tweet said, assuming full health. Well, you're living in a fantasy land if you're assuming full health for Jack Hughes. But I will say with almost 100% certainty that he is not the best Hughes brother. Quinn Hughes is the best Hughes brother. And I'm pretty sure that Jack has said so at this point.
And if you're assuming full health for him, it's only fair to assume full health for everybody. Do we think that every time you watch Nathan MacKinnon play hockey that he's at 100%, completely at the height of his powers? Do you think that last year when Connor McDavid missed time due to injury, do you think that last year when Leon Draisaitl missed time due to injury, that they were at full health? If everybody's at the top of their powers, we're talking about a completely different planet that we're living on because we've never seen all of these guys at full health. So I don't want to shit on the take too badly, and I definitely don't want to shit on Jack Hughes. I'm just more about trying to maybe frame it correctly. And Sean brought up something that I think is a more fun game to play, which is like, how many teams, if we're not positive he's the best player on his own team, how many teams would Jack Hughes even definitely be the best player on? Like, let's run through them now.
That gets to my point where it's like in my mind, you have a much better argument that he is outside of the top 10 than he is, maybe even the top 15, than he is solidly in the top 5.
Okay, let's quickly go through these and make it like a real gun-to-head quick reaction because that way I think we don't overthink it. Would Jack Hughes be the best player on the Montreal Canadiens? I say yes. Yes. All right. So he'd be the best player on one team. Would he be the best player on the Red Wings? Yes.
Yes.
Would he be the best player on the Panthers? No.
No.
Best player on the Devils?
Yes. Let's say
We'll
yes.
give him that.
He has the highest ceiling and is probably the most skilled, and like he is the star of the Devils.
Okay, Carolina Hurricanes. That one's tough. I'd say
I'm
no.
gonna
I go Aho over him.
You go out.
Maybe-
I would know. That's
maybe
that's
Slavin over him.
I am
crazy.
leaning.
I don't
yes.
think Aho's the guy. If
Okay.
there is a guy, it's Slavin.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. I'm
I
gonna say
will
he's the
say
best player.
yes.
We'll give. So we're being nice, and we're going to always give the tie to Jack Hughes. Okay.
Yes.
So he
okay.
gets the tie there. Best player on the Penguins? No.
no.
Best player on the Capitals?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll give him the tie. Best player on the Flyers? Yes.
Yes.
Best player on the Maple Leafs? No.
No.
Best player on the Rangers?
Yes.
Yes, I think we gotta exclude goalies for the sake of this
Okay.
conversation.
We'll even give
Okay.
him that.
Best skater. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Fine. Best player on the Blue Jackets?
Yes.
It's. I mean, that conversation will be more interesting at the end of the season to see if Zach Werenski.
I'd
has
rather
had
have
two
Werenski
straight-
than Jack Hughes, but we're being very liberal. Best player on the Islanders? Yes. Best player on the Sabres? No.
No,
Who you put? Dahlin.
Dahlin.
Dahlin. I think definitely. I think Jack
Yeah.
Hughes would clearly be the
I
second
mean,
best player on.
If we're doing
Yeah.
tie goes to, I think that like Hughes and Dahlin are in the same neighborhood.
Okay. Would he be the best player on the Bruins? No.
No. Pasternak is better.
Yes. Would he be the best player on the Senators? Yes. I think he's better than Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We're up to 11. Would he be the best player on the Lightning? Not in
No.
a million years. Would he be the best player on the Avalanche? Not in a million years. Would he be the best player on the Jets? If we're excluding goalies, then sure.
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah?
Although he was the guy that I guess you would have to have that conversation with was the other guy that sucked at Four Nations, Kyle Connor.
Would he be the best player on the Utah Mammoth? Yes.
Yep.
Best player on the Vegas Golden Knights? No way. Best player on the Vancouver Canucks? No way, Jose. Best player on the Seattle Kraken? Yes.
Yep.
Best player on the Chicago Blackhawks? Yes.
Yep.
Best player on the Blues?
Yes.
Yes.
Best player on the Ducks?
Yes.
Yes.
Best player on the Edmonton Oilers?
No.
No.
Is he the
Second best player on the Edmonton Oilers?
No.
No.
Third best player on the Edmonton Oilers?
For sure.
Yes.
That's I wouldn't even go for sure.
What?
What?
I'd say I'd give him the tie there.
With
To who?
Jack Hughes and Evan Bouchard are in a
Oh
similar
my
realm.
God! You lost me.
Yes, they absolutely are.
Oh, you so lost me. You lost me big time.
Okay, we're giving.
Wow.
He'd be. We'll give him. He'll be the third best player on one team.
You are gonna get killed for that. And
That's fine.
Deservingly so.
That's fine. Would he be the best player on the Minnesota Wild?
No.
No. Closer there. That's closer than people would think, but no. Would he be the best player on the Dallas Stars? No.
No.
Would he be the best player on the Nashville Predators? Yes.
Yes.
Best player on the LA Kings?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
Now, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me being liberal.
Yeah.
One game, I want Kopitar over him. Would he be the best player on the Calgary Flames? Boy, would he.
Yeah.
And best player on the San Jose Sharks? Yes.
Would Luke Hughes be the best player on the Calgary Flames?
So very, very, very liberally, we said he would be the best player on 20 teams in the NHL.
He's undoubtedly a very good player.
Yeah, but that automatically makes him not like a top 12 player.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Right?
that's
Like-
why that's where
And
I've
that's
been the whole
not counting
time.
goalies.
Yeah, it's not counting goalies. Yeah.
So, like, I absolutely think Jack Hughes can be a top 10 player in the NHL. But to be like, if you have him outside the top 5, you're fucking insane and you don't know puck. Like, that is the problem that I had with that tweet. And somebody said, like, feel free to mention how good the Devils are. The Devils are awesome. Like, we've been talking about the Eastern Conference needs another team other than Carolina to show up and be in, like, look like a big dog. Right now, the Devils look like a big dog. And the fact that we're having this conversation and debating about whether Jack Hughes is the best player on the Devils is not necessarily an indictment of Jack Hughes. And I don't want it to be an indictment of Jack Hughes. I want it to be like the Devils have two major top dogs in that, like, Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes are like a 1A, 1B on that team.
Very
And
Panthers-esque.
somebody compared them to even the Blackhawks with Kane and Taves. Like that's what they profile to me. And then plus there's Jesper Bratt, who is also fucking incredible. And if we want to talk about what guys look like at Four Nations, he was the only player in the tri-state area that fucking had that showed up for Four Nations. So The Devils are awesome right now.
Jack Hughes has played 6 NHL seasons. How many seasons of 75 points do you think he has? 75, not 82.
Well, he hasn't played full seasons. That's a problem.
So, and I guess
Again,
we're
like, that's
doing
part-
the
that's part of the
assuming full health thing, but he's done it once.
Yeah.
And to the chat, yeses is Yeses. It's like Joneses. You would not use an apostrophe. When in doubt, just don't use an apostrophe. Everyone misuses them. It broke my brain. The whole Jack Hughes, like, wedge him in, like, the second best player, third best player, whatever. Like, in summary, Nathan McKinnon is so much better than Jack Hughes. Connor McDavid
Correct.
is so much better than Jack Hughes.
Leon Draisaitl.
Leon Draisaitl is so much better.
Nikita Kucherov is so
Nikita
much better.
Kucherov is so much better. I don't want to spend too much time on the Jack Hughes thing, but like there
already on, like, minute 8.
There are at least 5 or 6 guys who you would argue are way better than Jack Hughes. Off the top of my head, McDavid, Kucherov, McKinnon, Makar, Jack Eichel, Quinn Hughes,
Like if we were tiering,
Draisaitl.
like tiering NHL players, I think would be an interesting exercise because like you have, I don't necessarily know like where I'm ranking guys if I'm putting them 1 through 25 or whatever, but there's a clear there's clearly tiers and there is clearly a top tier that only one Hughes brother is in, and it is not Jack.
Okay, bad behavior on our part, kind of just for doing that whole thing, because I don't like to do the, like, someone had a bad take, let's talk about the bad take thing. But it is kind of valuable to every now and then check in on certain players.
Yeah, like where people stand on players and like what the temperature is on them. And I honestly, I found, I don't want to shit on the take. I'm shitting on the confidence of the take, but I feel like it brought up a lot of interesting conversation. One of the conversations that we had yesterday was like, what's the like the most interesting gap between a 1 and 2 on any team?
We're gonna do that. I don't think we should do it now.
That's fine, but I think that's part of like why this was so interesting to me.
Yeah, because he's tight in there. He's
Right.
like Brat's right there, Heischer's right there. Ambassador Degree says nailed it that he's in the Dahlin tier, which is a very good place to be.
I feel like,
But I am taking Dahlin over Jack Hughes
Same.
100 times out of 100.
I feel
I don't
like
know if
we are going. I feel
if we're
like
doing
the hockey,
SpongeBob voice, like assuming full health and everything, like yes.
I feel like the hockey world is going to be having a much different conversation about Rasmus Dahlin after the Olympics. I think he is way better than people give him credit for, and and it's definitely in part because I watch him more than I watch other people. But
I mean, realistically,
he was awesome at the Four Nations, and he's going to be awesome at the Olympics.
Realistically, you could say that about Jack Hughes too. Like I think that the
Except he
Dahlin
sucked at Four Nations, and Dahlin was awesome at
right, but that's the conversation could change this year
Oh,
if Jack Hughes shows up at the Olympics, has a really, really big tournament. Like this could be a huge year for both Dahlin and Hughes in the public perception of them.
especially if Dahlin makes the fucking playoffs. Oh,
Correct. Like if both of these teams are good teams and they make the playoffs and they're at the Olympics and they have big moments in big games, I think the conversation about those players changes very, very quickly. And if Jack Hughes proves to be a big game player this season, then like we could look back on this and be like, oh, well, yeah, he's got the talent, stayed healthy, shows up in big games. He is in the top 10 of NHL players. That is absolutely possible. But to say it on October 23rd, 2025, that he is in the top 5, I think is wrong.
He could be a top 10-ish player, which is fucking awesome.
Right.
If you're someone who's being discussed as potentially being a top 10 player or a top 10 at the thing that you do, you're a fucking alien.
and also like
He's unbelievable.
If somebody came out here and said like Zach Benson was a top 5 player, no one's talking about it because it's obviously a ridiculous take.
Right.
There is.
Yeah, the fact that it's even being
Yeah.
taken seriously means that Jack Hughes is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe.